5 years is $149.99. This program apparently is the only way for the borough to be able to access federal funds and grants, so the only way to get that money is to renew that and pay that fee, and I can't start the process until the fee is paid.
And Ray, this is the fee to get the other half of that COVID money that they filed for?
It is a fee to reestablish our access to the SAM program. At that time, once our application is accepted and we're in the SAM program, then we would be able to apply for the second half of that money, yes. And additionally, I think last month I mentioned there was an email that not everyone did the paperwork or applied or took all the money they could get from the COVID money, so there's an additional tranche of money available to be redistributed. The amount, they didn't say, unknown until you apply.
But the question was, from the last couple months, we don't know. Last year, the council got it, and we don't know what it was actually used for, or what it was filed for, correct? I mean, I got the application, but it just said generically for the borough.
So there was a request to find out the status of all that. I have not dug through all the paperwork yet, so I am not prepared to comment on that either.
Well, this is inactive, it expired in July 2022. So this is obviously something that we've been,
There were notifications of it, and I remember at the February meeting,
Right.
putting it out there, but I have to say, their marketing and branding looks like, junk mail. It looks like a solicitation. So I didn't realize, I don't think any of us realized that the SAM program is required to get the additional certain funds.
on that.
Mr. Rose wants to comment on
I can comment on that.
Oh, yes, please, yeah.
That's something that comes from our department. The SAM, unfortunately, is required to get the second half of the money. And that's a requirement of the feds. It's
Yep.
something that there's nothing we can do about it. And that money's coming soon. That money, we were told that that money should be here in the next 2 weeks, deposited into your account. So you may want to consider that as a priority.
Well, it sounds like it's absolutely something that we should do, because it is 1 year, $499, but if you get several thousand from the government, a few thousand, that'd be well worth it, I would think.
It'll be the second part of
Right,
last year. So
right.
I don't know, I forgot to look to see what you folks got
Right.
last year, but it'll be the second half.
Jim, here's a concern I have voting for it. We've got the first half last year.
Yep.
Those 4 were council members last year, but nobody knows why we filed for it, what we used it for, what it was for. So the application is sort of generic. So by getting in and voting for the second half, if they didn't do it right the first half, is that tying us in voting to get the second half? If the first half isn't,
Another seven.
you're separate?
So they're two
But,
separate
although, actually, you're probably gonna say this as well, but when I talked to her, part of the application for SAM for this period is to also provide documentation on what the first half of the money was spent on.
entities. Okay, so we would have that documentation then.
Well, I mean, we, again, I know that this is an issue with some fog around it. But yeah, we would, the application is multi-part, right? Like we have to put in our information and stuff, but then we also have to provide documentation on how we spent the first set of funds.
Which we don't have.
Ron, I see you there shaking your head no. What's that mean?
No, I'm not shaking my head, no. My comment is, I think Jim is exactly right. I think you need to expedite this thing and vote on it today. It sounds to me like he can tell you what he got last year, and part of this goes back to that audit. If we had the audit, we knew where these funds went, it might be a little easier to determine where the money went. We really should know these things.
Well, I think that was the letter that the auditor sent back saying they didn't know where these funds went.
But they have
And
the books and
then-
the records, which they should have, They should be able to figure
No,
it
they,
out.
they needed the application actually, and what they,
Well, Jim
stated.
could probably get us a copy of the application, other than
Yeah,
that.
but let's back up and see where the funds, why the funds got, how the funds got, and then where they were spent, where they spent.
Check the minutes. Is that what happened?
Nobody knew that when they got it.
Those were around council.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
The mayor, you said councilman, nobody knew about it. You're gonna learn today.
Okay,
No, so that really goes back to my question. I don't want to tie in with something they did wrong by moving forward. I mean, you know, it sort of puts us new council members on a little bit of a tough seat here, like, yeah, I want to move the borough forward, and I want these funds because it's a lot of funds, and it's a no-brainer, pay $500 to get $8,000.
He just told you they were separate.
But you have to account for
But
what
like
you
Ray
did
said,
with
yeah.
the previous money on the application.
Yes, and you should know that.
but we
We have to
got, that was
investigate.
never given to
Okay.
them, that was
We've
never
got
turned in.
four council members here, but it was the majority of the vote last year. Boys, what was the funds used for, and what was the purpose for getting it?
There were, and there's a hint here, they're only allowed to be used for certain limited things.
Right, very limited things, right.
So what did we use it for?
Drainage.
Crickets.
And where is the copies of the application, which everyone, you make an application out, no matter if, personally or for the borough, you make copies, and it should be to the secretary. So then it would state what it was asked, why the money was, what the money was earmarked for. That's what was never turned in. I think that's Jack's question as to, does that onus put then on the entire council this year if we apply for new funding?
Well, it puts
Because we
the
don't, we
onus,
can't fill out the application because we don't have the old.
whatever happened last year puts the onus on the entire council who was here last year.
Right.
And at this point, though, it's probably a good idea to get the sand and to move forward, but make sure you gotta keep super good records.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
especially,
So,
It was never turned in.
especially in Wayne County, I would think that this federal government will want to come out and take a look at some point to see what you did.
Right.
That wasn't supposed to be part of the original deal, according to the president,
But it
but
is
they
now.
changed their
They've
minds.
changed their minds. That's.
So, what I'm
that's my
saying
point.
is, you gotta go back and figure out how it's spent. And if you don't have,
Solicitor's here, let him ask the floor.
oh, you're their solicitor, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
This-
The three members here can't get anything out of them, so maybe you can get something out of them.
Who you talking to?
Yeah,
to you, Mr.
How am I
Boucher.
gonna get something out of them?
ask a question.
The lawyer, yes, yes.
Right.
Man, you're out of order.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm so tired of this. I live in this
I'm
community.
tired of it too, you're out of order.
You're
Both, excuse me. Both, please. Both calm down. That gets us nowhere. Yes, Ray, do you have any?
So this is the folder of information about Spliffler that was in the records that Charlie transferred to me. Again, I apologize.
Now that you brought Charlie's name up, I will say Charlie did say at the one meeting that this COVID money hit the account, and the next day, you guys ordered pipes from New Milford, sluice pipes. And then you went ahead and you changed all your sluice pipes last fall on the Kellogg Road, which you own majority property on Kellogg.
This is just basically.
So did that have anything to do with it, ordering the pipes the next day after the money hit the account? The 8,600 hit the account, Charlie stated here, and then the pipes were ordered.
Multiple made to purchase pipes, yes.
So is that what you used the money for, to purchase pipes?
I would say to get his opinion on it, but yes, when the money hit the account, the next day that, these pipes were purchased.
So was there a motion made to use that specific money to pay for the pipes?
There was a specific motion,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's in the kid.
So where did
Public health expense.
you filed for the money, Gail, why don't you just ask each individual council member if we just move on? Have them give you
So I'm
some
going through
comment.
this paper, excuse me, I'm going through the paperwork, and this is just basically what it was all about. There's no contract in here, nothing that states, it says what you can do with it, but there's no contract or any specifics, excuse me. Excuse me. There are no specifics, there just states what it can be used for and how to go about applying for it. There's nothing in this file that states anything at all. There's no specifics, there's no contract, there's nothing else. This is just how to do it and what you can use it for. So,
I had got the contract, or the application, the original application, I ended up getting from DCED from, I can't remember the fellow's name.
well, what does it state on the application?
Well, I had brought it to the meeting and gave it to everybody, so on the application, it just generically was filled out, and Kirk signed it, and Debbie signed it. You remember we passed it around here? And Kirk didn't know nothing about it.
There's
But you
no
just look
information.
back at the minutes from last June, July, and August.
Right, well, that has.
Well, we can't go back to the minutes because the only thing that was brought up about this, they got the money in July, and the only thing that was brought up on this was in November, I do believe. It might have been December, I think it was November, that I think Kirk or Darrell or vice versa, one of them brought it up about this money, and then instantly it was made a motion to table it. So that's all, there was never no discussion about this at all last year.
Now, Mr. Rose, Jim, excuse me. Now, you're stating that in order to get the second half of the monies, we do not have to have the specific information?
No. but
From
we're
last
gonna
year?
need it soon.
Right, we're going to need it, but we don't have it, it was never forthcoming. So
You can
how
go
then
ahead
can we go
You
and
can go
apply for
ahead and
something?
seek, because you'll do it the right way this time.
So it would be a total new application, but
I-
Ray said that they
honestly
asked
don't
for
think
the
it's-
old.
I don't think it's a full application. I think the full application happened last year.
Right,
And you requested $16,000-ish.
it was
Which
17, but it's in the.
I was just going with the
Right.
8,000 you threw out. So, you requested that full amount, and then PA decided you were gonna get it in two different
Two
halves.
increments, right.
So you've already done the request. What I would do, what I would recommend, if your solicitor approves, is that you go back and piece it all together, and then you enter a motion into the minutes saying where it was spent. So if you have a clear A to B, in other words, the money came in and you ordered pipes for a specific project, then you can go ahead and do that, because I know that pipes were allowable. And then another thing that was allowable, and I don't know, do you have paid employees in the borough?
Yes, we have a paid secretary.
Okay, do you have road guys?
No.
Okay, or girls, sorry. You can use part of that to offset, because you can look at it and say that we lost a certain amount of money from COVID, from our general fund that we use for our employees, and then you can offset some of it for that. I could send you all of the many bulletins that we've received, because there were 20.
And as a solicitor, I concur with Mr. Rollins, take his advice, which is very important to get this done tonight.
Everyone's heard the discussion. Do you entertain a motion to pay the $499 for one year for Sam?
I just think it's a shame we can't have the council members that voted on this can't tell us when and why. Because the minutes, there's nothing in the minutes about it. And actually, our minutes were never put in the bound book, and they were never signed and attested. So, like, we're way off from going back, tracking this and finding out the truth. Our best thing is right now tonight, we got 4 members there, let's get it on record.
And we can piece this, well, I can't, of course, but you guys can piece this together. But the 4 of you probably are gonna have to at least help piece it together. So if you think that some of the money went to, for pipes, for the road drainage project or whatever, that's what that kind of pipe would be used for, right? Okay, then that's, you just gotta, there has to be some documentation for that, because I'm telling you,
That's what we're
you're
looking
the
for.
perfect community for this federal government to come after.
This is true.
Please.
All right, I make a motion to pay $499 for the year to reactivate this SAM, System for Award Management account.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any comment of the council? Would you take a vote? Jack?
I abstain on the grounds that I do not know where the first money went.
Kristen, yes?
Gail, yes.
Kirk, yes. Al Haynes Jr., yes. Keith Payne, yes. Darrell Haynes, yes.
The motion has been made and approved to send $499 to reactivate the System for Award Management account.
Oh, you can keep that.
Oh,
I got all of it.
Before we go on, can I ask who this gentleman in the corner is that Darrell is having a side conversation with in the middle of our council meeting?
Ted Brewster, I write for the transcript, I was just looking to see what the SAM meant, S-A-M.
yeah, he was looking at the.
Thank you.
Hi, nice to have you here. Okay, any other correspondence?
Yeah, just one more, sorry.
Oh, the,
There was a rights to know request from Elliot Greenleaf, specifically regarding a copy of the 2022 budget that was approved on December 6, 2021. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. There are two others. One, letter from Dave Soden. Dear President Brennan and Strucker Borough Council, effective immediately, I resign from my position as Strucker Borough Road Committee Citizen Representative. I do not appreciate your trust. I do appreciate your trust in asking me to serve. Respectfully, David Soden. This is September 6, 2022. And I have two letters. Gail Redden, President, Strucker Borough Council. These came in late, so that's why they're not on the computer. We are planning to erect an agricultural building on our property at 181 Jacob Ladder Road, Soraka. We seek to comply with borough permitting requirements. Please let us know what is required. Documents should be mailed to Douglas Fuller, 98 Edgar Drive, Morrisville, PA. And this is the same letter twice. Thank you. Dated August 30, 2022.
agricultural building under the size of,
You called me on that, I didn't know for sure, looked into it, anything less than 1,000 square feet, don't need a permit.
you do not need a permit, yeah, that's what I had
More
told
than-
Frank.
It's more than 1,000 square
More
feet.
than 1,000
Okay.
square feet.
Because I know.
Okay, do you have a building company yet, or?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, put them in touch with me.
They want to get some kind of approval from council.
Yeah, so we don't have a planning commission here or a building, and so they submit it, and then I will pass it forward to like is it BIU or NEIC, right?
It's NEIC.
Yeah, NEIC, and they'll do it, and then they'll send that back to us, and your builder will have to write a check, and then we'll vote and approve it.
You say that's for agricultural?
Agricultural building.
I don't think there you need any permit for agricultural. I think it's how our,
That's the way it's always being done, agricultural building, because there's no one lives there, there's just,
Kirk
it's just a
just
building
said
to
though,
put
up to
equipment.
1,000 feet, or 1,000 square feet, no permit.
I think that's,
No, that's.
I may-
regular building.
if it's a regular building, if somebody in town wants to build it under 1,000 feet, I don't think you have to, but I think agriculture, I don't think there, I'm not positive, we should check that out, but I don't think there's no building, permit required for agricultural building.
That was the impression I got from the people who were gonna ask to put up this pole barn.
Yeah.
They thought there was nothing that struck a
the way I,
What should be done is, there should be a drawing submitted to Scarborough Council for agriculture, but agriculture does not go to VIU or NEIC.
No, it does not.
It comes to Scarborough Council.
Just
As
the
long as it's
council.
agricultural, it's no one's concern.
Pardon?
As long as it's agricultural, it's no one's concern. Nothing has to be brought before you.
I think if we go back and look at the original ordinance, the way it was drawn up, I think that's how it was drawn.
That's my understanding too, I think
Yes.
Jeff is right.
That
I don't think you need, even they don't need to submit
I
a,
don't think we need anything.
So I know when Steve and Jenny did their building.
You know what, I
thing
just
for the
read the
council
darn thing
last
when we
year,
did
and they said you don't need it.
church up here, I
because it's
can't
just for-
remember
Put
what it
your
was.
stuff in there.
So, if one of the council members with more experience than me would like to point me in the right direction, I'd be happy to review it with them and send you a letter confirming what is or is not required.
Right, you do that.
If that's fine.
Put a seal on it.
I mean, I guess we can send you a letter that says you don't need any building permits from Borough Seal. Yes, and I can quote the statute.
We can do, Bruce, we can do that, and Ray will do that, and then, okay, then you'll have it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any other?
No, that's all I got. I
Okay.
mean, there's a bunch of crap, but we've already taken care of that.
Okay, public comment.
I think he had a resignation.
Sorry.
Tom was your,
What?
probably for long one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got a couple questions first,
Sure.
before I get into it. Because the last 2 years, and also they've been using the field down there, but then also they laid out fireworks. Everybody said that you cleaned up everything. Who is responsible for cleaning up the garbage?
Garbage?
This is no fireworks.
Well, I'm sorry, if I missed something and my church missed something, we apologize
And then I
profusely.
got tired of picking it up, so I decided I was just gonna mow it. So now it's over on the sunny field.
Can I interrupt for a moment? I do know that there are certain families that may live near the ball field that occasionally set off fireworks there without permission from everyone. So, it may not be the
Well,
fault
90%
of the
of
church.
it is in, I don't know, maybe like maybe like a 50 by 100 foot area.
Well, ours was July 2nd, and we spent hours the day after cleaning up the field. So when did you pick this up?
The next time I mowed, which was, I don't know, like 10th of August, 12th of August. Because you guys didn't vote on it until beginning of
Right,
August.
right, but that's that part that took you about when you moved
That's
that.
when, you know,
What type of material did you pick up when you picked up? Was it paper?
Everything. I did little pieces of
Was it paper,
Fireworks.
plastic, metal?
everything, anything that was there. We spent hours.
What was in the fireworks? Is there a lot of metal or plastic?
No, there's no metal or plastic in fireworks. There's just little pieces of paper.
Paper, okay.
This gooey stuff that you pick up in Kentucky.
oh, yeah. Yeah, mostly that's what it is, but there's some, I don't know, maybe the biggest pieces probably go like this big. But there's, I mean, millions of little ones.
Well, maybe what we'll have to do next year, when we have the fireworks here, we'll have to make sure it's raked up and cleaned up thoroughly, and let's go with that. you know.
We did
Well,
rent.
what is the requirement? I mean, you have to have, a big enough of an area to light out the fireworks that's clear, right?
Well, of course.
Okay, but, well, because, I don't know, like from the fence out, I don't know, let's find out, do like a 30-foot area. You know, I don't know, like if we could just mow weed whack in the one corner, like towards Dickey's, towards this way, and that's where you light off, and then you don't have to worry about picking up the garbage.
Well, you have to have it in a certain area so it's not going to go anywhere that it shouldn't. It has to be in the back. There's no fence back there. There's no fence in the back by the woods. There's no fence back there. Where you're talking about?
Yeah, the corner towards Dickey's.
Right, no, that's too close to houses. You can't do it there.
But,
You can't do it there.
but small pieces of paper should dissolve. I'll just wood.
Probably would,
Anyway.
if we had some rain.
Right, we had some rain. You have a bid,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
or what is that for,
And also,
for next year?
since there's so much grass on that,
Oh,
you know, the announcer, it's, was it this year here, I had to go and I had to speak the announcer to make it a lot easier. I didn't know if that was supposed to be, you know, a requirement for it, or just mowing and weed whacking.
Mowing and weed whacking.
Just
that's
mowing
what
and
you
weed
did.
whacking.
Right.
Then if there's all the dead grass in there, just let it.
Well, when it had gotten so high, you told me that you did that out of the goodness of your
Yeah,
heart.
this
It's
year-
because it was for a church nonprofit, free,
Right.
Not for next year.
right. Well,
Yeah, that's what we
hopefully your contract will start warm weather and then you'll just keep mowing and it won't get high like that.
Wait, but every year that I've mowed it, and I think this is about my sixth year, you know, so, right, you got all that dead grass there, you know, so which makes it harder to mow, you know, so, right, but I didn't know if there was a requirement for getting rid of the dead grass, or just for me, just for mowing and weed whacking.
Well, if you mow, as soon as the grass starts getting mowable, high,
Yeah, well,
that
yeah.
there's not going to be a lot of dead grass there. Because like your yard, you mow it and it's down and you don't have piles of dead grass. The only reason you did this year is because of the delay in your contract. And you were paid personally by an individual
Yes.
from this community to do that job, and you were paid very well to mow that ball field for my church's event.
Yes.
Extremely
Which I
well.
did, yeah, which I did.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, part two. Yeah, I got my bid here.
You got a bid or bill? You got a bid or bid?
Can you sign that and sign my copy?
Two payments of $425. Right, we already voted on this.
Yeah, but you need to, you should sign the contract now.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's the invoice there, yeah.
Yeah, the motion didn't have dollar amount, it just had.
Right.
Right.
What do you got there for the total, was it?
$850, two payments of $425 for August until the end, until October.
Now, what was this total bid minus the 400 or something, that's how we voted on
It
it?
was like 2 payments.
What was your total bid?
We had to do math. to figure it out.
Yeah, he was paid, yeah, for one.
No, but what was his total bid, was it 1950 or was it 2000?
2125.
2125?
Yeah.
And you were paid how much upfront? For what?
$460 to mow it for the church's event.
So you got 1665 coming, right?
Yes.
So why don't we just break that into two?
Well, his bid is $850.
Right, from August to October.
It's only for 2 months.
I figured out that the first time they mowed it, it took me 3 hours to mow up down there in my yard. You know, for the first time, because the grass was so high. You know,
Okay, so all you want for is 2 payments of 425?
Right.
That's fine with me then.
I made a motion to pay Tom 2 payments of $425. Is there a time on that when he wants to be paid?
The end of August and October.
Okay, I'll make a motion to pay Tom 2 payments of $425, one out of the September 6th meeting, one out of the October meeting, to come out of the general fund.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to pay Tom 2 payments, $425 at the September meeting and October meeting. All those in favor?
Yes.
Kristen, yes.
Gail, yes.
Kurt, yes.
No, Nick, yes.
Yes.
Darlene, yes.
The motion is carried. raise your right hand. There you go. Just two.
Thanks.
Can I make a copy of that?
Well, here, I have a copy.
Oh, you have a copy, all right.
This is your pile right here.
All right.
This is all for you. This is all the insurance. Okay, old business, we've already done subdivision. Next item is status of the 2019 and 2020, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, we had talked about bumping Jim up once we moved into such.
Well, he said no, he
No,
never.
he said no.
We've already spoken of this, and he said he's fine just sitting there having a good time with us.
All right.
Except for watching for the deer as he goes home in the truck. Jim Henson.
Done about that.
See?
And the bears.
And the bears, and the coyotes, and the foxes, you know. Okay, the status of the 2019 and 2020 audits, DCD approval status. We don't have those two audits were never come through from DCED as far as approval. So,
I can tell you that I know one that's outstanding, and then another one that we have flagged because there were concerns that it wasn't accurate.
right, that's,
Which one again?
I don't, I'm coming off the top of my head, but I'll look in the system when I get home.
right. So, Ray, we should check into that, and the ones that flagged,
He's gonna be my new best friend.
I didn't, yeah, the one that's flagged, if we could know why, and the other that's not approved, and we need to also know why. And status of the 2021 audit, there was no audit, Mrs. Basil resigned because we didn't have the documentation we needed for the auditors to complete the audit.
Backing up a little bit, Gail,
Sure.
19 and 20 audit, I was in contact with Jennifer Smith and anybody else that would try to help us in with DCED. And the 18, 19, and 20 audit, they eliminated one of the elected auditors, Jordan, which is back there, and they appointed their assistant secretary, Laura. And at the same time, they had two letters of interest in 2019 to do the 18 and the 20 audit, and council ignored to do that. So I really think there's something that we should ask help from DCED and try to get this unfolded, but why this happened. Because an elected auditor should have been able to do his job, and they wouldn't let him. And last month, I showed a video, we put a video together, and it showed just a small, part of the clip, but I could have put a lot more to show that the 1920 council and the 21 council, where they just decided they were going to do it their way and not by the book. It was just as simple as that. And I was repeatedly, as the mayor, when I questioned it, I was repeatedly said, take it to state agencies or take it to the judge. Many times, Kirk, being president, told me to take it to the judge. So, this really needs to have some help from state agencies to find out why, and I can tell you many things why they didn't want to get, because they did a lot of things, just like we're talking here tonight. We're paying bills without bills, and
Maybe when we find out why one of these was flagged, that may address part of your concern.
well, one of the things why it was flagged.
I think we're,
I think one was flagged because it wasn't received, and then the other was flagged also because there were questions about its accuracy.
okay.
Yeah. There was
So,
about 4 or 5 questions.
Now, this is something that we need to, with your help from them,
Maybe
so that
now
we
it's-
find out exactly what's going on here.
Madam President, maybe now is a good time for me to speak.
Good, there you
We
go.
had a segue.
Yes, segue
Okay.
into this.
Approach.
You please do. This is Jim Rose. I met with him earlier, and he's from DCED. They have, in order for the council to move forward, they have awesome programs to give us help, and he's extremely erudite, and please go ahead.
Thank you. So, I was here years ago too, because I met the gentleman down on the end. I can't remember how long it was, 7 years ago maybe? I think it was right after I started. Regardless, I met with the gentleman there, and I work for the Government Center for Local Government Services, and that's a part of the DCED. And you guys all have my card, so you can see the rest of what it says on there. It wraps around on the back, because there are a lot of words, of course. Our part of DCED focuses on working with local government entities. So boroughs, townships, and all 23 classes of cities I work with. There aren't that many, there are about 4. Anyway, our goal is to try to help municipal governments work more efficiently and make sure that they're following sometimes the cumbersome aspects of, in this case, the borough code. Following the borough code, trying to come up with plans for the future to look and see where you're going to be in a couple of years and try to plan for making sure you have enough finances to cover everything that you want to do. I have a couple of programs, because I have a couple of concerns. My first concern we just discussed, and that is the overdue audits and the AFRs, the annual financial reports, which have been done, but they don't correspond necessarily to the audits. So that's something that is kind of a flag for us and makes us wonder if we can provide some assistance. So I have a couple of programs. One of the programs last year you already applied for. I just got the paperwork, and that program is called the Peer Assistance Program. So that is, and I'll say this carefully, that is a no charge to the borough, no additional charge to the borough. We will provide the borough with a borough manager to come in and to help Ray put together all the pieces that are potentially missing. Help you find things, help you organize things, help you put them together. And she'll also be able to work with you so that you know all the important dates that things have to be turned in to the state and, well, feds too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she would do that. And the one that I'm thinking of has worked extensively in boroughs, and she would be coming from, say, the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area. But she would come up and she would develop a plan with Ray and discuss exactly what they're going to be doing together. And she would be able to come up whenever it's convenient for both of them and start to work on, putting the records together. Because even if nothing happened, even if there was no issue with any of the things that you did, like just, for example, with the ARPA money, with the COVID money, it still looks funny if you don't have the exact records that you need.
Right.
So it's a good idea to go through and put everything in its place and make sure that everything is out there. Because the bottom line, and you guys know this, bottom line is that the money that you expend and the money that you allocate isn't your money. Well, some of it's your money, but most of it is from the other people in the borough. And I have to tell you too that I was a borough council member in West Pittston, and I was a borough council member for 12 years. And I learned some of this stuff the hard way, because we didn't do things correctly until we hired a good manager who was able to put us straight. This program didn't exist, but I wish it did. In any event, this is a program you've requested, and this is a program that we'll give you. I just wanted to explain it further and offer you the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. Okay. The good thing about this too is, and I'm sure your solicitor can research it, there are no strings attached to this. No strings. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about and approach you about is something that we call our STAMP program. I think you got a handout from Ray, the Strategic Management Planning Program. That is a program where we would provide you a grant, and the grant starts at 50%, but I know that I can adjust that higher for this borough. And that would provide you with the opportunity to hire a consultant, and we provide you with a list of the consultants. Provide you with a consultant who would come in and who would look at everything and develop a financial plan for you so that you can take a look at where you're going to be in 5 years if you don't do anything else. I don't think it will be very expensive. I'm thinking it would probably be $40,000, and that would be split into two. I know 20,000 is too much, but so I'm telling you, I'll get you a better deal. I can do that. And we can have a person come in who will look at everything and give you specific recommendations. It's easy because you don't have a lot of departments. And I've already jotted a couple of things down while I was attending this meeting, which I'm thankful that you invited me to. But that program is the STAMP program, and that's an easy application, and I will walk right through doing that. It's an electronic application. But it needs council approval. It means council would have to make a recommendation that they would enter into this program. The last one I have, which is brand new, I just learned about this 2 weeks ago, is it's kind of, we don't have a name for it yet, it's a mini stamp program. And that would just come in, strictly look at your finances. And that would look at what you've done and what you could do and what you should do. All of these programs will make recommendations to council for, I'm hearing just a couple of things, like, for example, record keeping. I know this is a small borough, and you can't spend a ton of money on making sure that the records are upkept, but you don't want to have any question about where they are at any time. You want to make sure that you keep them in order so that any one of your residents can come in and take a look at them, or some of my agencies that wear guns can come in and look at them. And make sure that everything is working the way it should. Those are the programs we have. I am concerned, I know you must have a tiny budget. What's your yearly budget?
60,000.
I figured it would have
It's
to.
actually about 34,000 for general fund, and then you can look at fuels.
Well, okay, all that to get, yeah.
Fuels have to go into the fuel.
I have a question, the mini stamp program, how much does that cost?
They did a pilot on that in southwestern PA.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing it up here in the Northeast after January. I was thinking that if you didn't want to do the stamp program.
We have to do something that doesn't cost us a great deal of money.
Well, I think the mini stamp would be that.
Right, and you had said you could go up as far as 80% even of the mini stamp.
I'm thinking,
Close to it, or 60, 70,
the only thing
and it would be a lot less than the
The
other.
only thing I know for sure is that it has worked well. I knew that as the mayor, and I've only known him for 2 hours. Sorry. Now you. So what I'm saying is that either way, I think it would be a good idea for you guys just to piece things together. You can take a look back and try to fix the things that need to be fixed in the near past, and just get it, the days of us being able to kind of loosely do business are gone, and could end up in big trouble.
Jim, if we went with the stamp program, you said we could get 50%, you could probably even help us.
Oh, I know.
A little higher, so
Yeah.
what are we talking higher, like, what would you guess?
I would like to get 80 or 90. So I
We're
would
gonna
say,
come up with like 10 or 20% of the program.
Yeah.
And how much would that program be? What number we're talking? 40,000? And taking
I would say
90?
40, yeah.
And if you paid 90%, we only had to pay 10%.
Right.
And then we would have all the resources and the individual would come in, so we could move forward.
The stamp program, one of the things I like as a formal elected official with the stamp program is that you do the hiring. You hire the consultant. I'll give you a list. Once you got approved, I'll give you a list, and you send out RFPs. And then, as the RFPs come in, you'll choose the consultant, and you hire that consultant. We pay, but you hire. So that's important because then I think that it allows you to have more trust in the person you're working with.
When would we know exactly the percentage that you could get us?
Well, I would do it as soon as possible, as soon as I talk to my manager.
So my question
I
is,
had to wait until tonight though to talk to him.
Right.
do we have to commit to doing the program before we know what the percentages we have to pay?
Commit, no, but you have to apply.
Okay.
Although, you have to apply to know what the exact amount will be, but I'll give you the percentage beforehand.
So we wouldn't have to sign anything that says we're participating
No,
before we
no,
know how
no,
much
no,
it
no.
costs?
No.
Okay.
The application is easy because the STEM program can have additional phases. So the application for the first phase is pretty much dictated to us by the program. But I would help Ray go through that process.
Yeah, I have a question. So if the money, the COVID money, the federal money,
Yeah.
and could that be earmarked to say if we had to pay 4,000,
I
you
don't
can't
think
use
so.
that? Okay.
You'd have to
Just
check
thought
that
I'd check.
with your solicitor, but I think.
Well, I know there's certain criteria.
Whatever, if you elected to use the funds to replace general fund money that you lost because of COVID, then I think you might be able to do it because you would have just put it into your general fund.
Into the general fund.
But I know you can't just earmark that.
Okay,
And again-
that was my question.
Mr. Bugash, you need to look at that and advise the board.
There's a list of things that.
Right,
There's-
yeah, yes, there
And I do know
are.
that the piping was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the other one was just replacing general GF money.
okay, all right.
And how would that payment work? Say we did come up, hopefully, we had 10% put out, so we had $4,000.
Yeah.
Is that just one lump sum we have to give once we get into the program, or is it something?
No,
that we spread out?
because when you contract with whoever it is that you're gonna work with to do this program, you would spell that all out up front in the contract, how the money would work. I'm thinking of some of the contractors who we use that work with a small municipality. And they usually divide it up into 4 payments or 10, 6 payments, and you exhaust our funds first. I think of that.
And so, Jim, so I understand, tonight, you're looking for a motion or a resolution?
It would be nice if they were ready to do that, yes.
Okay.
But if they want to chew on it until next month, then we can do it. The other thing is, are you guys in the budget process right now? Are you forming the?
We don't have a schedule right now.
No. Usually the budget, we just do it every year, like starting in November, October, starting to get ready.
One of the recommendations that would be made, because I would make it to you right now, is that you follow a budget calendar, which is for a small borough with a small fund, you can do a very easy one, but you should start to look at what your expenses were so far. Like, do you get a report, or have you ever gotten a report for these meetings where somebody tells you what you've spent for the year so far, what was budgeted for the year, and how much you have left to spend?
Well, it hasn't been done that way in the past. Matter of fact, we really don't have a full 2022 budget. It's still been out there.
Do you,
Supposedly there's one, but
Ray, do you use QuickBooks?
QuickBooks has been used by the borough in the past. When I was treasurer for 2 months, I just used the spreadsheet.
Okay,
'Cause I didn't have access to that.
okay.
But I have used it in the past when I've run departments.
I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but I would also tell you that the STEM program that we discussed can have additional phases. Meaning, if you don't have QuickBooks, if you don't have a computer, because I don't think you need more than that, but if you don't have a computer or printer, whatever, we would provide, we could pay for that too, the same split. So if you had a 90-10 split, we would pay for that also. So it's just something that I would recommend. I would recommend that you think about it at least.
And Jim, you said when we met before that on top of like a computer, that it could be either for a server or an email account or whatever.
Absolutely.
With her own website, anything to make records.
Correct. Absolutely.
I have a question. It says that for the municipality must submit an annual financial audit prepared by a certified public accountant. So that's something that we would have to pay, that's an additional.
Yeah, I think we waive that, but I'll find out for sure.
Oh, yes, would you?
Yeah.
Because it's a good, there's so many things that we can access and so many things that we could get through this program, like they, as Ray was just specifying, that Jim had told us about when we met before, things that we could get that would be
Yeah,
charged
it's
for.
like the email I sent back in January about getting the council a .gov, getting the municipality a .gov
That-
domain
so that
and
all of the
web,
emails
web,
would
you
go
know,
to
email
the
addresses, so
council.
everybody
Right.
has it, so it's easier to
It would be
distribute
the same,
things.
and that would be something they would provide,
Additional funding for it.
right, additional funding
Yes.
for, and all of these things,
Some training, there are training opportunities too.
right?
There are training opportunities for you as the head of government here, but also for Ray. Are you still the assistant secretary?
I am.
Okay,
For now.
so there are training opportunities out there that wouldn't cost you. Some of them are free, and they're not even too far away. So I'm talking like not too far away, I'm talking like we've had some trainings in mechanics, Scranton. I don't think we've done anything in Holmesdale or Susquehanna or anything like that, but, so there are trainings that are available to you.
You know, maybe if you get Laura, she signed in 2018 audit of the CPA.
Yeah, but she's a real CPA, so then that would not do. But at any rate, he said that that was probably waived anyway, a lot of these.
I'll double
things.
check.
Yeah,
But
would you? Or another resource so that we can move forward, we can accomplish the things that we need to accomplish and have the resource to say, okay, we know what we're doing. I mean, a lot of the missing records and things, that's not going to help us, but we can find out about those audits and why they're flagged and why they're not approved,
Absolutely.
and get copies of them, of those, so that we have them for the borough records now. We have a nice storage room, we have, and Ray does excellent work with documenting everything, but we need the records that we don't have. And we also need resources so we can move forward and be productive for the community. So if, I would recommend, my thoughts are if we could get the big discount and we would have all these resources and we can move forward.
It sounds like there's nothing to lose by applying.
I don't think you
Right.
do.
So why don't you apply, and worst thing that happens is he tells you you don't get enough money or something.
And you say no.
He's not
I
going
can
to
do
do
that.
that.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, he's not going to do that. He knows we're a poor little rural community, and he's become very fond of us, so he's going to do his level best to get us the biggest discount. But at least we should apply so that we know, and then with all the facts and figures, and make a decision then. But we should have a motion to apply for the stamp
I
program.
make a motion, we apply for the stamp program. Grant?
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Any discussion?
Other than filling out the application, there's no commitments, no obligations?
No, and when we come back with the amount, because they have so many things they can provide for us, even, he was talking about, laptops, sorry. Laptops for the council members, so we can, access them.
QuickBooks, we could provide you with QuickBooks.
QuickBooks, that's what it was called, I don't know.
That's an
And
easy
then-
one.
All right, Jack?
Yes.
Kristen, yes.
Gail, yes.
Herb, yes.
Alan Haynes Jr., yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
The motion has made and passed unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Ryan, I'm sorry, somehow I missed 2 seconds.
I did, Kristen.
Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen.
Kristen. K-R-I-S-T-I-N.
T-I-N, yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
May I have a copy of that? As soon as you get it,
Yep.
that resolution, and then let me know when you want me to walk you through the application.
Yep. I'll be in touch this week.
All right, sounds good.
Jim, one last question.
Yes.
Like these audits that we know are flagged, how do we go about finding out what's really being taken care of these? As mayor before and now me being on council, I have sent a few emails and some phone calls and no one seems to know anything back at DCED, so
Pardon me.
how do we find
I'll
out?
find out for you tomorrow, I'll look in the system and see. I can't access it. Excuse me, the hiccups now. You guys scared me.
That would be rude.
It's not working, it's working the opposite. I'm having a, whatever, opposite effect. I'll check tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
I meant to have that information, but my car broke down. I took it to the shop, and the guy said it'd be 15 minutes, well, it was going on like an hour, so I'm late, so I apologize.
You're forgiven, that's all right. Does anyone else have any questions or any comments to Jim?
It's called the strategic.
Okay.
And you guys can keep that plan printout.
And we just, we have to have cute little
All right.
names for everything.
The Wayne County Community Development Block Grant application requested by Councilman Darrell Haynes Cox to make application status update.
It was forwarded to the not redevelopment authority. It was Hailstone who accepts the applications. And they responded saying that they received it. I have not received anything else with regard to it.
Does anyone have any questions for Keith on this, or Darrell on this?
Yeah, I guess, one thing I was a little concerned on, because last month it was voted on, and Ray said he would help do it, and then he decided he wasn't going to do it because he wasn't comfortable with it. And then we ended up getting an email back from Ron stating that he thought Ray was insubordinate on what he was doing. I'm a little confused on that, so if Ray didn't want to do it, Ron, why is that, what is that email all about? I mean, to me, I think it's...
Secretary is a ministerial position. If council directs the secretary to do something, he should do it. It isn't up to him to say, I don't want to do it. That's what the email is.
If he don't feel comfortable doing it because he thinks there's some false things in it, why doesn't he have the rights to do that?
He doesn't, he's signing in a ministerial capacity. He doesn't have the right to override the decision of our council.
Well, he did give the opportunity for any council member to do it, but you said he should be sanctioned, and I don't
I didn't
understand.
say he should be, I said it may be a situation you want to address. What you can have is people in the borough that take it on themselves to do actions without authority from council.
I don't want to go through and read the whole email, but I thought that email was very, very harsh. And, to me, did anybody tell you to write that email back?
You
Or
could have lost the entire grant because there was a time constraint on that grant.
So you think we should be filed for grant that's inaccurate?
If he was, look, I'm not here to criticize Ray, but if Ray was concerned about, he wasn't comfortable with it, he should have contacted the president. The president should have scheduled a special meeting. We could have addressed it in a special meeting and addressed it there.
Only for 2 days.
There would not have been.
Ray, were you in contact with Darrell on this?
I was in contact with Darrell on this.
So Darrell knew all about it. There's no big
Yeah.
secret.
That was.
I mean, I looked at the contract here and or the application that you got, there's several things that, you look at this and you gotta question it, but, you know, they've got down that, does the borough use the CPA